From 8 here on Kiwi.
The voice of the creative economy, Vincent Heeringa with Wammo on Kiwi.
It's from Idealog magazine. Goods, NZ Marketing, stoppress.co.nz. The voices of the creative economy and a whole lot more. Vincent Heeringa, good morning.
Good morning, Wammo. Doesn't it just make you want to be in Mexico or South America, somewhere warm for a change, that music?
The music we just heard from Ginger Brown. Yeah. It's some kind of wild party next to a beach. Sounds good to me.
Anywhere but working and being cold. Two unhappy combinations.
Yeah. When are we going to turn that around? I wonder if it's inhibiting good ideas, Vincent. This is part 2, of course, of our Ideas and Innovation series. Yeah. Today looking at where ideas come from.
Now, where do the best ideas come from? Because, we all generate ideas. It's kind of not that hard. But where do the best ones come from? So we are doing a series, starting with the next ideologue, on sort of idea generation and managing your ideas right through to businesses, making you incredibly wealthy out of your crazy ideas. And so one of the things I've been looking at is what are the sources of ideas and innovations. And there's some common themes, Wammo. At least one of the most common themes is that adversity does seem to be a great place to start, What is it? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
And actually your point about the weather is quite interesting, that if you look at, kind of where great ideas have come from originally, in particular sort of technology-type ideas, they often come from cold climates.
Is that right?
They do.
Kind of like Nokia, Finland?
Yeah. Engineering coming out of Scotland.
Yeah. Can you think of heaps of examples, or is that it?
Well, all the Scandinavian countries have engineering, have a very strong technology and engineering base.
Yeah.
There's just something about colder climates that seems to make people, I think that there could be a crossover with sort of culture and religion as well, but, not a lot of breakthrough technology ideas coming out from near the equator.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You don't think of new inventions and ideas coming out of humid conditions.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They say that what really made the big difference in the American South was air conditioning, more than abolition and other things. It was air conditioning that liberated the South.
Fried brains before that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so adversity is a great example, and I interviewed once a guy who had the best adversity story for where his idea came from. He was a builder who specialised in installing sunroofs and skylights in people's houses, and he tripped one day on his laces and tumbled with his chainsaw and fell on top of his chainsaw while it was still operating.
Wow.
And cut himself to pieces. And as he was being wheeled into the operating theatre, he had a blinding realisation about the laceless working boot. And so he invented a clip that replaced laces on working boots.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So adversity is a great place to start. But people are making a great study of this kind of process now of generating ideas, because we've become such a fast-changing economy that there needs to be more science brought to the whole exercise. And so they've kind of boiled it down to 3 ways that you can generate ideas, or 3 kind of areas where ideas come from. Do you want to hear about those, Wammo? Have we got time?
I would love to hear about them, only because I think everyone needs fresh ideas on a daily basis, and if we can find the secret. Are you going to tell us the secret?
I will, indeed. There is a secret sauce.
Okay, good.
The great news about it is the secret sauce can be completely ignored, because innovation also contains a completely random element of breakthrough technologies or breakthrough ideas. But we'll get to that. The first and the most obvious place to generate your ideas is from your existing networks. So they call it customer-driven innovation, and what they mean is it's the classic McDonald's thing of would you like fries with that? So if you're already in business and you have customers, the first thing to think about is how else can we serve these people? What changes, what improvements can we make? And there are a whole bunch of mechanisms you can use for capturing that kind of information. And there's, I won't go into detail for it, but I have a nice example actually, King Salmon, which is a big New Zealand's largest salmon producer down in Nelson area. They noticed that chefs weren't giving people salmon steaks because they couldn't guarantee the size. And one of the things with restaurants is that you really have to give people what they promise, or what they want. So until they could actually guarantee the size of a salmon steak, they were being left off a whole lot of restaurant menus.
I've got it. You inject a potato gene into the salmon and kind of GE it. Is that the solution?
That's a good start, Wammo. You keep working on that one, buddy. Actually, the innovation's pretty simple. They imported a machine from Germany which was able to cut and pack salmon into exactly the right quantity.
Oh, good. I'm glad they came up with that one rather than my solution. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's very simple in the end, but the insight came from actually just talking to customers and finding out, what do they need. So my point about innovation all the time, Wammo, was that it's not that hard, we often think of it as kind of, completely reinventing things, but, sometimes it's as simple as just talking to your customers. Okay,
so those are ideas that you're adding to an existing kind of business.
Yeah.
But what about the fresh ideas? The idea, to start something completely new.
Something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, that's the second kind of innovation, which is, they call it insight-driven. And that's your blinding eureka kind of moment, where you realise that we've been putting up with something for so long, or there's an opportunity that no one else sees. And they can come from anywhere. And we just interviewed a guy who was sitting in a traffic jam one day, this is a New Zealander, and noticed how many brake lights were coming on as people kind of approached an intersection.
Yeah.
And being an ingenious kind of backyard Kiwi inventor, he thought, man, there's a lot of energy being wasted as those cars slow down. Wouldn't it be great to capture that kind of energy somehow? And anyway, what he's done is he's developed a speed bump that is activated when it generates electricity as cars go over it. So as cars slow down and go over the speed bump, there's sort of hydraulic fluid inside which creates waves, and those waves power a generator.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of insight-driven innovation where people observe human behaviour and say, geez, there's got to be a smarter way, or there's an opportunity there.
That's interesting, because that one, it wasn't actually solving a problem, it was creating something out of nothing almost.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there wasn't... Well, we know there is a problem. The problem is energy is expensive. Electricity is expensive. Okay. So if you can reduce the cost of electricity, there's a problem solved. Another one, another Kiwi company which is doing incredibly well is called Furnware, 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 who make furniture, and they instead of saying, let's make some furniture and flog them to the school kids, they spent 4 years studying the way that school kids sit and slouch, and they studied 20,000 kids over the course of 4 years to look at the way that kids will sit, slouch, relax, work, etc. And also noticed, kind of not amazing when you think about it, but no one had ever bothered asking, that the New Zealand body size is quite different, given the Polynesian component of our population is quite different to, say, the US or Northern Hemisphere markets. And so what they developed is a chair that's kind of special for New Zealand conditions. That is, it's a chair that can actually modify its dimensions according to the size and the position of the child.
Very cool.
Cool, eh?
So I noticed none of this involved getting into a state of zen.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. That's the kind of that's where there will be those zen moments, but business is not art, Wammo. It's not about introspection. Actually, it's about extroversion. It's about going out and observing people and talking to people and engaging. And actually, the best kind of art is like that, isn't it? You know, the best kind of art is one that observes and then reflects back. So, you know, there may be some kind of very zen-like eureka moments spent in the shower, but most of it, I think, comes from just being engaged with the world.
Well, that's part 2 of our series of Ideas and Innovation, where ideas come from.
I could tell you one, I said what were the best ideas, or the best methods. I could tell you what the worst is.
Oh, yes.
So a study by a guy called Bob Cooper, who was like Mr. Innovation, he just recently did a big survey of where do ideas come from and what are the most successful ones. The worst out of, I mean, not saying that it's a bad idea, but, you know, the least successful, if you can say, is competitions.